You just named it. Those would be the ingredients that we would need to find in an individual. So the idea after that is to get those ingredients and then go out and look at markets or targets of companies or markets, and more generically, that require all of those same things. Like it might be somebody from private equity that's done money raise before, that's taken a company from private to public, or however, whatever all those ingredients are. Okay. And then it's whittling it down to a manageable number. I always talk about, looking at things from a manageable perspective, whether it's somebody looking for a job or whether it's somebody a client that we're looking for an individual. You can only look for so many ingredients, 6, 8, 10 major ingredients. And then you try to filter from there. Okay. So the first part to answer your question would be probably developing a list of 100 to 150 companies that would have similar situations going on at their early stage. And then we would want to go find somebody within those companies that's got P&L responsibility that's walked through those same things that are required.
Cool.
So they bring those experience to this role.
And there's some people that have built something and sold it, right? They were the president, maybe CEO, maybe chief technology officer that had P&L responsibilities, that grew it, sold, had a payday, right? And maybe they got some money in the bank, and then if they were able to invest a little bit and had some skin in the game, even better for us, right? That's right. So that's kind of the way we think.
Yeah, so, an entrepreneurial mindset that loves the build. It's not necessarily the guy always that can keep the wheels on and get that 2 to 4% growth every year. It's somebody that loves to build and build fast,
scale fast.
Absolutely,
that's what we need. So we're going to be talking about that.
All right.
And then you talk about coaching. We'll go to coaching. Now we've got Austin, a 32-year-old CEO. We've got a new CEO potentially there. We've got a young team here of leaders. Janelle, my daughter, is actually taken over the president role at Ray-Ban America. My leader there has gone off now to partner with me in another business. Just like we as entrepreneurs think, we had another opportunity. We saw maintenance being a little niche market within Ray-Ban America that we were serving very well. My leader there said, Gary, I just want to go off and run this maintenance thing. Can I do that? And I said, yeah, as long as you replace yourself. So he's replaced himself with Janelle now. And so he's mentoring her into that seat while he goes off to run Ray-Ban America maintenance, right? He's calling it RAM. And so again, now Janelle, 30-year-old leader in this business. It's about it was about a $40 or $50 million company, right? A lot of responsibility for a young person, right? We're confident she's got all the right traits and cultural traits that we want. She's a great young leader. She's got lots of compassion. She's just really, really good person. Now, does she have the ability to hold people accountable? That's something she's only done in small levels, a person or two at a time, not the team that she's going to have now. So she's got challenges, but she'll get through them because she's smart and she's compassionate. Now, again, think about this team we have. We've got another CEO that's building a company. He's out of Texas now, and he's kicking butt, but he's fastly growing a company there. He's a 8-year-old guy that's doing a great job. He's actually he's actually a perfect picture of a young leader that's been there and done it now, and he's and continuing. So either way, we have this group of people that we probably don't put together enough. We've got a great leader of our paving company that's been here for 10 years, and really, really strong leader. Takes everything on his shoulder, really accountable. Not as old as you and I, and we're young guys, but a younger guy than us, right? About 10 years back of us. So either way, when I think about this, how do you look at this organization of 8 companies and all these different leaders running from small to mid-sized companies as opportunity to coach?
Yeah. It's finding the individual skill set. I don't know Janelle or Austin well enough since we're using those as examples. And they are young leaders. So I just think mentoring is critical. It could be an outside third-party coach and that they feel comfortable going to because they don't want to get undressed in front of the people they work with or look like show their weaknesses or their chink in the armor, but they feel comfortable doing it to a third party and being totally open with their kimono and saying, I really don't know how to handle this, but I don't want anybody in my organization to know that.
Sure.
I need to be the face of strength in the organization, if you will. So I think we can add value, or a coach can add value from that perspective. On the whole onboarding process, of really truly onboarding somebody and getting them comfortable and confident in their new role so that they're not skinning their knees and bumping their nose. Some of that's important. Skinning your knees and bumping your nose along the way, you learn by those things, but you don't want to make the big flub. You don't want to make the big mistake.
Yeah.
And sometimes, can be used from that perspective. But, again, Janelle and Austin being examples, we'd want to fully understand Austin's strengths and his developmental areas, which might be completely different than Janelle's.
No,
she might
right.
carry a whole different set of skills,
Sure.
but has a different set of areas of development. And so you can't ever coach any two people the same exact way. It's like the old saying, you can't manage everybody exactly the same way. You manage everybody differently.
Sure.
You're going to be more effective and more efficient because you're hitting their buttons. And the same thing goes through with coaching.
So my issue, Scott, and I think anybody listening can understand this, whether you run a small organization or a big organization, as you grow as a leader and you grow as an owner and you have the most liability as a majority owner, as I do in most of these businesses, right? The biggest thing I think about is risk and reward, right? And I have total confidence. Every leader I have today is awesome. They're great people. They care. They're caring people, and they're hardworking people, right? So I believe I'm in the right position. Now the question though is when it comes to risk and reward, when does their decision making stop and mine begins as a chairman, as a chairman in our board, right? Because if I was just a board member and a chairman of the board, but I had a couple percent interest in these businesses. You know what? If they're the CEO and they've got 40, 30, 40, 50%, they should have more risk, the ability to risk, right? And take risk and for reward. For me now, it's a matter of, okay, I still have all the risk in these things, right? And so now how do I communicate on a daily, let's say weekly basis to understand that they roll up all the risk that to me that they should, and they take on all the risk and their day-to-day responsibilities that they should, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how do we look at that? Because that's the biggest challenge I have today is that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it all boils down to your definition of chairman of the board. Mm-hmm. Some chairmen in companies are strictly at 30,000 feet.
Absolutely.
They're literally unengaged in day-to-day operations. And that's probably the true definition.
I know.
Yours is a little different. There are smaller companies with multiple, divisions with now young leaders, of which in at least these two cases are kids of yours. Mm-hmm. You're just one of those personalities. You're engaged in the business. So for me to sit and say to you, look, you got to be at 30,000 feet. You got to give up day-to-day operations. You can't be involved is probably not realistic. But what is realistic is what is day-to-day operation for you as chairman? Mm-hmm. Is it to get down in the weeds and to solve everybody's problems for them? Or is it to mentor and make sure that they're not creating bad mistakes and they're learning from your experience? And how often does that contact take place? Mm-hmm. Do you guys have set meetings as opposed to dipping in and dipping out, which is my recommendation to everybody. Mm-hmm. And I'll just tell you that. I would say, for example, every day at 10 o'clock, I'm going to talk to Austin, or every Monday at 10 o'clock, I'm going to talk to Austin. And every Thursday at 10 o'clock, I'm going to talk to Janelle. And we're going to talk about an agenda. There's going to be an actual agenda, problem situations, successes you've had along the way, areas that are bothering you. Maybe those are the only 3 topics. And you do that every week, unless there's a major issue going on. Otherwise, if you're dipping in and dipping out unexpectedly, unannounced, the organization doesn't know who's really leading. Yeah. And it creates, people want to go back to Gary.
Sure.
If they think Gary's really running the business, mm-hmm. I mean, it's just natural. People are going to do that. Sure. So you need to really communicate highly to the organization who's really in charge, and then give them the opportunity and the responsibility along with the authority to do things.
Sure. And it's a happy medium, right? I have an open door policy. Unless this podcast is going on, my door's open 99% of the time, right? If I got somebody and we're talking to, door's open, and people pop in and out, right? And people in our organization know that's how I operate. And I like everybody else to operate as much as they can that way. Not that they have to, but as much as they can. So with this transparency, of course, it becomes a problem too, right? I want people to I want to know who's here working every day for our organizations, right? I want to know them. I want to love them. They're my friends. But with that, right, I have a hard time not listening to everything they want to say, right. And I should, but yet, where does it go from there, right? Because I can undermine my organization.
That's it.
If I allow too much.
The first question you ought to have to somebody after they walk in your door and explain why they're there, the first question you ought to ask is, have you talked to your boss first?
I usually do after the subject comes up.
Yeah,
but
that's okay. That's okay. You're letting them air their feelings or their vent, or they're going to tell you their problems or whatever it is. But the next question is have you gone to Austin? Does he know this?
Right.
And if he hasn't, then you need to direct them back to him first.
Yeah, and I usually do. When the subject comes up that they have an issue with somebody else, I always ask, hey, did you go to them and talk to them about it, right?
Right.
And probably 60% of the time they haven't, which means there's probably a problem. They're coming to me before that, which
seems like just being aware of the potential is probably step number one, right? So it's good that you're even aware of it.
Well, Nick, you're around here, dude. What do you think? What, is it?
Everything's falling apart. I think there's a fire in the other side of the building right now. But,
get the buckets. Get the buckets.
No, it's going great. It's going great.